So, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and how you started out in Salesforce?
Sure. So my name is Ben Coleman and I'm CEO of Performa IT. I think my career in Salesforce, if I go right back to the very start, so I did a degree in business computing and I started out working for a large corporate, and everything that they did was build in-house pretty much from the ground up. So software engineering, and most large systems within the business, they were built in-house. So we had lots of teams of developers, business analysts, project managers, architects, etc. And so I started out as a junior developer, then I became a developer, senior developer, and then really got into my first gig was running a really big project to replace a system that looked after an estate of 5,000 EPOS tills. And so for that role, I became a development manager. And I think at the most busiest point, had about 20 developers, BAs, etc., reporting into me. And so that was really where my career started to kind of take off. And then from there, I moved into doing, as well as looking after the development, looking after BAs, then becoming a mixture of a development manager, project manager, and then moving into program management and kind of progressing. And so the way that I got into Salesforce was that the business that I was working for went into a large deal to outsource all of their IT to Capgemini. And my choices were that I could have stayed working pretty much in the same business, but working for Capgemini, or I could take a redundancy package and go elsewhere. And I thought, this is an opportunity, it's once in a lifetime, I'm going to get a little bit of money. And I had friends, actually I had a manager who'd left the business and they'd gone to work for this American company that I'd kind of heard of called Salesforce. Didn't really know too much about it then. But then also, I think a few of my other colleagues had left to go and work for Salesforce. So I knew of this Salesforce thing. And so I went about having a look into the market, really. Just I'm trying to understand a bit more about Salesforce. So we're talking 2010, so cloud, yeah, it was about, but it was still fairly new and not everybody was doing it. And here was this company, Salesforce, launching the first app store in the world. Everything was completely online. You could do an awful lot of work, point and click, so you could deliver value really quickly. And it just seemed like an exciting space to be. It seemed like there was a lot of growth, a lot of potential. So I started out working for a Salesforce consultancy, which I got trained up in. In my first week of work, I got sat down and they said, here are the Salesforce online training guides. Your exam, this was on Monday morning, your exam is booked for Friday afternoon, good luck. So I had a mad week of studying for my first Salesforce administrator exam. Passed that, literally, did like 4.5 days of study, passed that exam, so that was good. Because I felt there was a lot of expectation on me to do that, because they were essentially saying, look, you can do all this complex coding stuff, so this point and click exam, this will be dead simple for you. And it kind of was and it wasn't. What was really good is by doing that exam, I learned just the depth and breadth of Salesforce, which at the time is much less than what it is today, but it was a good kind of grounding. And then I went on to do, at the time, there was a consulting exam, so that was actually, at the time, that was a mixture of Sales and Service Cloud. And then I got let loose with clients. Unfortunately, that business failed. The people that it was private equity backed, and the people backing it just kind of felt like they weren't really getting the results as soon as they wanted. And so I thought, right, okay, I'll go and get myself another Salesforce role. But what actually happened was the MD of that business called me up after a few days and said, Ben, what are you doing? He said, because if you remember this lead and that lead and the other lead and this customer who were talking about various projects that we could potentially do for them, he said, I've had to contact them all and say our business is no longer running. But they all said, that's a real shame because we wanted to do the project. We liked you guys. We really liked Ben because I was doing quite a bit of pre-sales as well. And, so what a shame. So he said to me, he said, I don't mind if you want, because I'm just going to go and get a job. If you want the contact details of all of these people we've been talking to and you want to go and approach them and ask to do their projects, be my guest, that you can go and do that. So I don't think it took me very long. I think I sat one evening just thinking it over and I thought, here's an opportunity. Why not try it? Give it a go. And that's really how Performa IT started. So I didn't seek to go and start it, but the opportunity arose, felt like I'd got the skills, and that's how I started the business, really.
And if you take yourself back to where you started there with the business, what was the most exciting thing about Salesforce back then? What actually drew you to go on with it and carry on that path?
I think it was the fact that it's cloud based, that it was still really new at the time, and I quite liked the fact that there was a challenge, particularly in the early days, of convincing people that cloud was safe. So these days, none of us would think twice about signing up for a cloud based application. Nobody has any concerns, but at the time you would go and see people who would say, well, I'm really worried about this cloud system. Is it secure? And I'd be sat there in someone's office and they've got their server over in the corner, not locked up, no security on their door. And you kind of go, yeah, but somebody could just walk in and literally access that server right now. So how secure is that? But anyway, that's those kind of questions started to go probably after the first couple of years, and then people started to really accept it. But aside from the fact that it was cloud-based, I think for me the exciting thing was that it was the speed that you could develop and build systems and implement business processes. So I thoroughly enjoyed being a consultant because I could deliver real change and real value to businesses super, super fast, much faster than people were used to. And so it was genuinely, it's a rewarding job. It's a fun thing to do because people were just thanking me all the time and saying, you've changed my business, you've changed, my working life, as an end user, they're having a much better time. So I think that's what got me really excited about it. I thought, this is great, this is fun, it's exciting. There's obviously Salesforce are growing like crazy and acquiring different companies and adding to the technology stack all the time. So it felt like something, really cool to be involved with. And so that's what grabbed me. And I think ultimately, I'm a geek at heart. I like business, I like technology, and so learning new things and understanding, how things work. That's something that I've always done throughout my whole career, really.
You started up a business, kind of fell into it,
Yeah.
and it started growing. You might have thought, oh, this is actually going somewhere. I could make something out of this. Can you tell us a bit about what your goals were when you sort of set out on that journey, and what lessons have you learned along the way? In what way have those goals changed as the business has shaped itself?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So I think for me, the first thing, I know everybody says it, but I genuinely thought at the time, I thought very quickly, I think you can become unemployable, i.e., you don't want to work for someone anymore. And that was something for me. I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to do my own thing, and I wanted to be self-sufficient. Really, I wanted to not feel like somebody had created a job for me. It was kind of over to me to try and win work, win business. Support myself, support my family. So I think that was a challenge, but also really satisfying when you do that. I also learned fairly early on that actually I get a real dopamine hit and a rush from closing a deal. Um, who doesn't? I know people in sales really love it, but it turns out actually it's not something I thought I would, but I do enjoy it. And I think also that, more so than just closing the deal, it's the fact that you've got that opportunity to really make a difference to your client and their business and improve their results, improve their environment that their staff work in by delivering better systems for them. So that's a genuine buzz, every time we work with a new client. I also really enjoy finding out about new businesses and new business models and the way things work. So again, it's that inquisitive mind. It's really interesting to just see how businesses operate and looking for those opportunities to improve things. How can we, move the needle forward some more and keep going. So that's also a real buzz. So I think it's the technology's moving on. You're working with new people, you're learning about new things, you're improving people's lives. And then I think also as the business grew and our customer base grew, you can see that actually the learnings that you get from different projects, and it can be a business that's in a completely different industry, but actually there's lots of learnings that you take from each project and each thing that you do that you can actually transfer across to other industries as well and other business models. So I think that also gives me a buzz, the fact that other people can benefit from your knowledge. So that's really things that I've kind of learned as we've gone along.
If you think back to your primary vision when you first thought, oh, this could really be something. If you think back to how you thought that the business might go back then, how is it different? How is it similar?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So also, I think another thing that mattered to me was having started my career in a fairly corporate type of environment, a lot of pressure, old school management, I would say. So for me, I got on with it, but I didn't really enjoy it. And so for me, I really wanted to create a business and a company that people would really enjoy coming to work. Bring all of the best things to it. Get. For me, it's about if we can take the best talent, the best people with fantastic businesses and get them working together. So it's really about pulling those two things together. Then you're going to get great results. And in order for people to flourish and to do a really great job, you've got to look after them and they've got to enjoy being at work. So fun is an important thing for me. I want Performa IT to be a really great place to work where people have, they have fun day to day. They enjoy their work. There's, progression for them, and they hopefully get the same satisfaction that I've got from working with clients and implementing fantastic solutions. That also they should get the same buzz as well. So that's how I saw things. And I still see them that way today. That's ultimately the goal. I think obviously the business has grown and it's grown really rapidly over the last few years, been very successful. And I think for me, the crucial thing is trying to make sure that even as we grow rapidly, that we still maintain the same culture, we still maintain the same fantastic levels of service and quality of delivery to our clients. So it's really about scaling up, but making sure that we maintain what all of the great things that have made us successful today and allowed us to grow to this point. So it's just about improving that. I think also there are so many opportunities within technology, and the Salesforce ecosystem has grown massively. There's been more acquisitions, there's more functionality. Obviously, their internal product team is building out some incredible new technology now with AI. We've got new integration tools, we've got data cloud, we've got all these cool, really exciting things. So I think for me, it's just the thing that we need to do is make sure that we keep abreast of what Salesforce are doing. I think that definitely I remember in my early part of my Salesforce career, there's definitely a time where I was absolutely confident that I knew everything about the platform. I knew all the features of Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, communities, to call it the old name at the time, all those things, I knew it. But I think now, for somebody to know in detail every single part of the platform, I don't think that's possible. So for me, that's another reason why the growth is important, because we want to be able to offer services to customers where any part of the Salesforce ecosystem, any module, any cloud, anything they choose, we should be able to implement and we should know it really well. So in order for us to be able to offer that to clients, we've got to grow the team, because no one person can know all of that. We need experts, in different clouds and different parts of the platform. And so that's what we're doing. We're just expanding the team so that we can have that complete coverage and that total offering to clients of everything that they need under one roof. So we can implement any part of the technology, the Salesforce technology stack, and we can support it as well.
If you look back on building the business from startup to now, what's a key lesson? Can you tell us a key lesson that you've learned that you would have gone back in time and told yourself in 2011?
I think it's that business needs speed, and the pace of change is getting faster and faster and faster every day. There's new things coming out, and I just don't think that you can afford to pause or wait. You have to make decisions pretty quickly and move forward. And I think probably in the early days, I was a little hesitant because I hadn't run a business before. So I would overthink, decisions. I would spend a lot of time, investigating new technologies or where things were going, and probably be a little bit hesitant on, would we get skilled up in another particular Salesforce technology or acquisition? Would I hire some staff as quickly? Things like that. So I think what I've learned is actually you just have to trust your gut a lot of the time. Obviously, as much as you can, yes, you want data and you want numbers and you want figures, but there comes a point where you can get paralysis by analysis, and you can't afford to do that in today's business world. Everything moves fast, so I think it's just trust your gut, get as much data as you can to back things up, but ultimately you have to make a decision and you have to stick with it and you have to go for it. I think the other thing is you can fail fast as well. So you can make mistakes, and you need to make mistakes to learn. So I think in the early days I was thinking that I have to make every decision, has to be right, I have to do everything perfect, everything's got to be 100% guaranteed. And ultimately, in life there are no guarantees, and actually quite a lot of the time 80% right will do the job. I think for me, I am a perfectionist. I like everything to be 100% right, absolutely perfect quality, spot on, and that's a quality that the whole team has, and that's what we're all striving for. But I think sometimes to hit timescales, to hit, to seize opportunities, you might have to adjust that. So that's probably something that I've learned over the years.
So they're internal struggles, you're overcoming the hesitancy, the perfectionism, and sort of speed of making decisions, therefore. What are some other sort of more external challenges that you've faced in growing a business from the early days, even now?
Yeah, so finance is always a challenge for people. So I thought that I'd borrowed quite a lot of money to start Performa IT, and at the time it was, and there's a risk of if I got it wrong, then I wouldn't be living in the house that I live in today. I still live in the same house, I haven't changed house, but there's risk. And again, if I look back, I think actually we could have grown a lot faster and we could have been further ahead if I'd have taken a bit more risk and probably borrowed a bit more money. But that's hindsight, isn't it? You can always think that. I think I did what was right and I risked an amount of money that I was prepared to at the time.
Can you tell us some of your biggest or favourite wins over the years?
Sure, yeah. So I think one of the first that I can remember is our first really big enterprise client that we won a number of years ago now. But we were really lucky to work with DPD, the parcel delivery company, and we've had a really successful partnership with them for many, many years now. We've built an awful lot of really complex functionality for them. And we've had wins such as I know that their Service Cloud that we rebuilt for them a few years back now, that's been used as a case study to show, particularly within not just the logistics industry space, but also just in Salesforce in general. Here's what a really fantastic Service Cloud implementation looks like, and we built all of the componentry for that. So we've been a real technical partner for them. So once things get past the point and click, that's where we've really sort of stepped in to help DPD. So anything that's complex, requiring a lot of code integration, UI design, that kind of stuff. So that's where we've really helped those guys succeed, and it's fantastic to see so many users in the DPD estate using the technology and how they've adopted it across the business. So pretty much everything back office at DPD runs on Salesforce, and we've built all manner of things I could never have imagined. So not just your standard Sales Cloud, Service Cloud. DPD are really kind of wall-to-wall Salesforce internally. So that's been a huge win, and we're still doing some fantastic, really exciting projects with them now. We've got some really cool stuff in the pipeline that we'll be working on. So that's been a really good win. I think sort of aside from clients, I mean, there's obviously many really cool clients that we've worked with over the years, loads of fantastic projects. I think another one that kind of pops up is we helped a business who works within the wealth management space. We built them an app which is on the App Exchange, and it's used by one of the biggest wealth management companies in the UK. They've got one of the biggest orgs in Europe, and the app that we've built is actually installed into that org. So that there's a lot of pride with that, to have built something that's on the App Exchange and has got that much reach. So that's another really exciting and slightly different to the implementing Salesforce. So building a product that's installed into many orgs and has got a huge user base. That's exciting. Projects and sort of clients aside, another fantastic win, I think a really proud moment, was going to the Investors in People Awards in November last year. So we didn't win one award, we won 2 awards. I was shocked with the first one. I think I was completely gobsmacked when we won the second one. So we won the award for investment in learning and development for companies with less than 250 staff. So that really shows, it was nice to be recognised for all of the work that we do in terms of training our staff, growing them as individuals and their skill sets, and giving them the space to do that. So that was fantastic. And we also won the award for Small Employer of the Year as well. So that was a massive win, and just kind of showed that all of the hard work and all of the things that we were doing in the background to make Performa IT a really good place to work is actually recognised at such a high level as well. So that was another huge win. Another key milestone was moving into our own office space last year. So we have a proper office now. We've got a team of over 23 people here in the UK, and we needed space to be able to get everybody together. So we now have that. So we have some offices in Stonehouse on the business park, and that's been really valuable. It's great to have a hub where the whole team can get together, and we have different departments coming together at different times, as well as quarterly meetups where absolutely everybody from Performa IT will get together. So that's been another proud moment to see our logo above the door. And then recently, another first for us was sponsoring the World Tour. So we had our first ever booth at the World Tour, which was really successful. We had a lot of really good comments from people saying how fantastic the booth looked. And we had customers who wanted to come and see us on the day, that I've spoken to since. I've said, well, I didn't see you come to our booth. And I said, well, we did, we tried, but the booth was so busy that we couldn't actually get to you. And all 11 of your people on the booth were fully engaged. Even some clients who came across the booth 2-3 times couldn't sort of fight their way to the front to talk to us. So I think that was, a really great moment, to know that we had a really good world tour. We had a lot of interest, a lot of really good conversations, a lot of businesses that are keen to work with us. So that's an exciting, kind of development for the future, really.
Yeah, definitely. We talked about what excited you about getting into Salesforce when you first started out, but what's exciting to you about Salesforce now?
I think the fact that more and more businesses are really understanding that this is not just a CRM system. They don't just implement Sales Cloud because they want to improve their sales performance, or Service Cloud because they have a call center. I think businesses are really understanding now that this is an entire platform, a complete ecosystem that you can run your business on. And I think the ISV space, since the App Store was launched more than 10 years ago now, that's grown enormously, and it's growing faster and faster, and there's more and more ISV apps, more large cloud providers who are now integrating with Salesforce or providing their own apps for it. So I think that growth is exciting because we're gonna see more and more of the interesting projects. So those ones where it's not just implementing the standard tools. I think that the clouds that we've always known, that they're incredible because the value that they bring to a business and the speed at which you can deploy them is phenomenal. It's completely business changing. But I think also the fact that we can now move beyond that and we can fill in all the blanks. We can, if a client wants a finance application in Salesforce, they can have one. If they want to run their HR processes in Salesforce, they can do that. So they really can run their entire business on it. So I think that's an exciting space to be in, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of my past back working in software development, where we were building apps completely from scratch. And I think Salesforce is such an incredible platform for doing that. The fact that if I think back when I started out, we had teams and teams of hardware people, operating systems, database administrators, and developers, and so on and so on. All these kind of people to support it. And actually, with Salesforce, all you've got to do is sign up for the licenses, and a lot of that is just taken away from you. So all you're doing is focusing on the business value and building incredible applications to transform businesses and users' lives. So I think that's really exciting, the growth in it. The other thing, of course, is AI. So everybody's talking about AI. I think Salesforce, they've year on year won, Forbes' most innovative company in the world many times over. And so, rightly so, they're getting involved in the AI space. And I think, for me, I think it's really exciting. I know people are talking about generative AI, and we're super excited about that. But I'm also excited about the predictive AI that's been around a little bit longer, and how that's going to expand as well, because that's maybe not people's focus at the moment. There's a lot of focus on the Gen AI, but the predictive, I think there's a huge amount of potential for companies who've got Salesforce, who perhaps haven't actually implemented those predictive features yet. And I think, again, the amount of value that people can get from that, and the insights and the improvement to their businesses just by adopting those things, I think that's huge. So I'm quite excited to really feel, as a business, I want us to push our clients and help our clients understand how that can help and leverage that, as well as then also looking at the generative AI. So we are really happy to be working on one of the first Copilot implementations here in the UK with a very large corporate client. So we're really excited to see what that can do for their business. I think it's going to transform the way that they do their service. I think it's going to add enormous efficiencies to to what they do. And I think it's going to improve the lives of those users who are using the system day to day, because they're going to be doing more interesting, more valuable work as a result. So all of the kind of, the kind of repetitive work that's less interesting, they won't have to do, but they will be doing the really valuable, really interesting work. So I see it as a massive win for everyone. And I think also what's exciting is going to be to see, obviously with data cloud, the fact that you can actually leverage your data that's in all sorts of, maybe siloed off at the moment in different parts of the business, to be able to leverage that within Salesforce and quite easily, to be able to, get access to that data without necessarily having to be a developer, and bring it into processes to add value, and bring insights and save labor and time. I think that's a really exciting space that we're just going to see is just going to I know everybody says it, but we are just kind of starting out on that journey, and I think there's going to be an awful lot more to come in that way. And I think that the things like prompt writing, those kinds of skills, those are things that we're starting to look at now, and I can see they're going to be really valuable things to be able to do in the future. So yeah, really excited to see where the AI space goes.